Geneva Watch Days just ended, and we saw a number of new releases from independent brands as well as established brands alike. So today I wanted to review them and share with you some of my personal favorites and some that I feel do need improvement. So let's get right into it. So guys, before we begin the video, I'd really appreciate you hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this in the future. As always, your comments are always appreciated, so please do feel free to let me know down in the description below what you think of this video, and of course, any videos you'd like to see from me here on the Burneron Jewelry YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get right into Geneva Watch Days, which is of course an annual kind of fair, which showcases a number of watch brands, kind of new releases. So a lot of watch brands will hold or withhold some of their releases for Geneva Watch Days, namely independent watchmaking. It's where kind of independent watchmaking has made its bones to release their new novelties, or a number of new novelties at these kind of fairs, or at this fair in particular. And the one that kind of is the talk of the town currently is the new Burneron Perpetual, which is the new Burneron Annual, which is essentially just a fancy way of saying an annual calendar. Now, this watch actually features a number of cool mechanisms, including a jump hour, jump date, jump day, and a number of other complications, which are really, really interesting. I think it's flawlessly executed. The size, the proportions, the movement finishing, everything about this watch screams high quality. It's what I personally love about independent watchmaking. It's a new, fresh take on an established complication, the annual calendar, and of course, even just the symmetry of the movement. Every kind of piece of this watch was really thought out and done so in a really, really high level. And I actually really enjoy this design, especially in contrast to, for example, the Mirage, which personally, the Mirage was released now about 3 years ago. It's not my taste or style at all. I think actually the watch is quite ugly. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, the market tends to disagree with me, and most watch collectors think that it's a beautiful watch, and fair enough, but I think this new annual calendar is actually a great, great release. The only issue I really have with it is the price. The price point brand new for this timepiece is 120,000 Swiss francs, which to put into context is roughly 150,000 US dollars. Now, to be fair, I understand and appreciate the R&D that probably went into creating this watch. And I do appreciate that cost has to be passed on to the consumer. But we need to take into consideration a number of brands that have full perpetual calendars for significantly less money. It's hard for me to stomach this kind of price point. And it's something about watchmaking, specifically independent watchmaking, that I've hinted at in the past, that I just feel is a really bad kind of show for the entire market itself. That being the price point starting at such a high level that frankly, it's discouraging so many new buyers from entering into the independent watch market space. Now, of course, I say this, and yet this has been totally sold out, but there's so many bold takes. The fact that he was willing to increase the retail by 10,000 Swiss francs every year after this year, I think it's hard for me to justify these price points for watches, but I just feel like maybe I'm one of those buyers and collectors that just will never be able to buy a watch new at retail, which is a real shame. But unfortunately, at these price points, it's just impossible for somebody like me, who is just an average guy, trying to buy really high-end timepieces. But overall, besides the price point, the watch itself, both in the black and the white dial, beautiful watches, great complications. I do applaud the effort. I just feel it's a little bit expensive for what it is. Now, next up are a pair of two new releases from Lange Söhne. One is a black enamel 1815 tourbillon, absolutely beautiful timepiece, limited to only 50 pieces. I absolutely love Lange tourbillons just because, first and foremost, of course, the romance of the complication. I personally think that the tourbillon is the best complication in all of watches, just from a visual standpoint, but also, of course, the incredible finishing and execution. Now in a black enamel dial, I think it's going to be visually beautiful. And this kind of black dial, right, even with the Lange one onyx, has been something of a theme for Lange Söhne, as well as, of course, the salmon dial, new Richard Lange jumping seconds with the salmon dial. Salmon dial being kind of something that is, I think, lacking in Lange's portfolio, which they've kind of introduced a lot more in the last kind of couple of years. And I think the Richard Lange jumping seconds executed in a salmon dial is really well done, and it's very thematic, I think, for the releases of the kind of last couple of years, especially this year in particular. We've seen a number of new additions in salmon dials. Both of these watches don't have a price point yet, but I think that overall they're going to be very, very high price points, no question about it. Probably the jumping seconds will be close to now, I would say 80 to 100,000, and the tourbillon well into the multiple hundreds of thousands even. So yeah, again, Lange price points, just astronomical. I don't know what the brand is thinking, to be quite honest with you. It's really, really hard to justify, even, for example, a Zeitwerk date and now 130,000 retail price. But yeah, that's just kind of what it is. and the landscape of the modern watch market. Next up is a pair of new releases from Vacheron Constantin in the Audemars Perpetual calendar line, and these come both in rose gold and in white gold. The rose gold version featuring a kind of tone-on-tone dial, kind of still a rosy pink hue to it, and of course in white gold featuring a beautiful burgundy dial. Two excellent executions of the Audemars Perpetual calendar. I think these are going to sell very, very well. In particular, the burgundy dial I think will sell extremely well in markets like Qatar and of course the Middle East, where kind of those colors are really prevalent, and of course it being a white metal watch will be exceptional for that kind of market, even though it is gold. I know some do kind of break the rule of not wearing gold in the Muslim tradition when it comes to a white metal watch. But overall, I think these are two stunning executions. Really, there's not much to be said. It's still kind of the existing Audemars Perpetual. Nothing has changed in terms of the movement, dimensions, dial layout. It really is just a change in dial color, and I think it's flawlessly executed from Vacheron Constantin. I think they really did an exceptional job kind of designing and recoloring this lineup, which I think is really important because the Overseas line over the last couple of years, I think, has really felt stale. And what it needed was that added pop of color just to kind of freshen up the lineup. I still think that they really need to discontinue the blue dials, make it exclusive, make it something that now people can't get new at retail, and come out with new dial colors to freshen up this lineup. But again, that's just my personal perspective. But I think overall, these two new releases are really, really stunning and are going to sell very, very well for Vacheron. So it's good to see Vacheron going from strength to strength, again, celebrating a very important milestone this year. And I think they've had, without question, the best releases all year from any brand, really in the entire watch industry, independents, and of course, really big commercial brands alike. Now, keeping on theme with the release of salmon dials was the MB&F LM101, long awaited in the Evo edition, this time featuring two different dial variants in titanium, one with a salmon dial and one with a green dial. Both exceptional releases. I think that this is something that MB&F collectors have been waiting for a long time. At the end of the day, I think the LM101 is the most wearable watch in MB&F's portfolio, just because, of course, the size at 40 millimeters makes it kind of the most easy to wear watch. It's kind of their take on a classical dress watch, but made in MB&F fashion. And of course, in the Evo edition, makes it water resistant, perfect for everyday wear, and of course, something that you can kind of travel with and beat up, and has incredible shock protection systems actually added to the watch, which allows it to be a lot more shock resistant than their average wristwatch that MB&F makes. So I think the MB&F LM101 Evo is going to be an exceptional release. It's going to sell very, very well for MB&F. Again, something that it goes from strength to strength. The price point on these, I think, is right around the $80,000 price point. So again, I think not too shocking in terms of price. This is just kind of where I think independents are in pricing. Again, I think it's a little bit high for a time-only watch, just my personal opinion. I'm a big fan of MB&F, as many of you know, but I can't help but think that these price points are just getting absolutely crazy, but I'm sure it will still sell very well and be very, very, very popular, especially on the primary market. MB&F going from strength to strength. I think what they've been doing over the last couple of years has been really important, and them going back to the horological machine, even now introducing the SP1. I think these are important kind of steps for them to keep their line fresh and keep customers interested. And overall, the LM101 Evo, I think, will sell very, very well. This year, we also saw the reintroduction of the Gerald Genta brand, starting first, of course, with the Minute Repeater, probably the most prestigious complication. I think it's something that is very important for Gerald Genta, kind of in the spirit of the man who created the brand, because what he focused on while he was head of Gerald Genta, of course, was creating incredible complications in these really kind of cushion-shaped watches, or really fancy-shaped watches, which were totally avant-garde for their time. And I think what Louis Vuitton, or La Fabrique Vuitton, now has reimagined with this Minute Repeater has really captured the spirit of Gerald Genta in a very classy and sophisticated way, featuring a yellow gold case with what I believe is actually an onyx dial with applied indices, which actually is very, very difficult to do. And I've seen videos of it. It looks like a phenomenal watch. The chiming mechanism seems to be absolutely great. And of course, the finishing itself is absolutely beautiful. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the Gerald Genta brand. I would love to see them come out with those old school complications on a bracelet with those really unique case shapes and designs that the Gerald Genta brand kind of became famous for. Overall, I think this kind of sleek, sophisticated, kind of high complication stuff is really, really interesting, and of course is really, really nice. Without question, it shows kind of the technical watchmaking prowess of LV and La Fabrique Vuitton, but overall, I just think that's something a little bit more low-key, and in terms of style, but in terms of complication, is definitely the way to go. But I think at the same time, it also makes sense for them to come out the gate with something like a Minute Repeater to kind of establish themselves in the market and showcase their technical watchmaking prowess. The Bethune released a pair of new watches, the Starry Various of course, now in a new kind of colorway, this kind of purple burgundy color, as well as the DB28 XS, I believe it is the extra small in a kind of blue variation. This kind of dramatically reduced case size is something Bethune has been doing over the last couple of years, and I strongly encourage it because it just helps their watches to wear a lot better on wrist. My main feedback for Bethune watches, especially the DB28 line, was just that they were unwearable, unfortunately. And now with this kind of new, smaller case shape, it allows them to wear a lot better on most wrists. And I think overall, these are both watches that will sell very, very well at retail, especially the new Stradivarius in this burgundy color. I think it's just exceptional. It's beautiful. It's something that really is not like anything else on the watch market today. Again, the price points are going to be exceptionally high for both, well into the hundreds of thousands. I believe the Stradivarius is still going to be slightly under 100,000, but still, for a time-only watch, that is a lot of money overall. But again, that's just kind of where independents are. But yeah, I do welcome this new additions to their collection. I think they're very nice and they will sell very, very well. And last but certainly not least is a pair of new releases from Audemars Piguet. Audemars Piguet shocking the watch world with new 30mm Perpetual calendar wristwatches, of course featuring that new movement that allows the Perpetual calendar fully to be set using the crown, which is a really nice innovation from AP. I think the new 38mm size is really, really exceptional. I used to own a 26315 ST, which is the Royal Oak Chrono in 38mm. I absolutely love that wristwatch. I thought that the proportions were a little bit weird compared to the Jumbo. I owned also a 15202 ST, but I think the 38mm size, if they can nail the proportions in terms of the case bezel ratios as well as the bracelet ratio, it will be a really, really great, universally well-wearing size, both for men and for women. I think 38mm really is an amazing size for the Royal Oak because, of course, the lugs being flared out, it wears closer probably to a 40mm wristwatch. So in 38, it really wears perfectly. I think in these editions with the ice blue dial and the sand gold version, both are really, really nice, spectacular new releases. And of course, they also updated in 38mm the new Code 1159 line with a number of different stone dials. I think there was a malachite, there was a lapis, as well as some kind of a ruby dial or a sodalite. The blue might have been also a sodalite as opposed to a lapis. But really, really interesting designs. I think that the new Code line is going to be really, really nice in smaller case sizes as well. I think the 40mm size just wears a little bit too big for most wrists, and I think toning it down, making it more of a classical dress watch will help the lineup just in terms of sales, but also in terms of popularity. And I think introducing kind of more stone dials like this will make the line a lot more interesting than kind of just their regular Fume or Guilloche kind of dials that they've been doing over the last couple of years, which just didn't seem to catch on with most watch collectors out there. So guys, this is just a small snippet of some of my favorite releases from Geneva Watch Days. Overall, I think that this has been an amazing year for releases. I think Vacheron, Patek, AP, Rolex, of course, had an amazing year of releases. And these independents now are coming from strength to strength, releasing a lot of their best creations and creating a lot of what the market has been asking of. So it's nice to see. My only kind of disappointing thing is kind of the new price point of watches, which is just egregiously high. Like I said, I think this is just something that's part and parcel of the new watch market, and I just will never be able to really buy most independents new at retail just because the price point is ultimately so high that it's just not something I can justify. But overall, I'm really encouraged by the releases. I think that they work great. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Were these releases from Geneva Watch Days good or bad? Of course, what were some of your favorites? I would love to get your feedback down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe for more videos like this in the future. As always, my name is Marco from Burneron Jewelry. It's a pleasure making these videos. Thank you so much for watching.